Power 98.7 Podcasts. Refreshing and stimulating talk. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
Head of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship. I'm sure you know the World Economic Forum and Professor Klaus Schwab. Did you know that there's also another foundation that he founded with his wife, the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, the purpose being to promote social innovation, among other things. Now we have on the line from Switzerland, the head of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, Katherine Milligan. Thank you for joining us on Power Hour, Katherine. Very, very much something that was ahead of its time when it was founded, the foundation. But more and more people are realizing that business is just not about money. It's about social impact. So I guess you are in a very sweet spot right now.
Well, that's right, Victor, and thank you so much for having me. Indeed, the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship has now been around more than 15 years. Back, when it was first created, I think no one really understood what the term meant or what a social entrepreneur does. And now it is, one could say a buzzword, but also I think a viable career path for many socially minded yet business-oriented young people and, the older generation alike.
But also what I like is that even as you are an entrepreneur driven by making profit and money just for its own sake, you have to learn because of the triple bottom line or sustainability reporting to factor into your business strategy how you will account for social impact and environmental responsibility. So it helps if you have a social entrepreneurially thinking type of leadership as well. It's something that people can be taught to internalize in their business strategy formulation.
Well, that's a great question. Are entrepreneurs born or can they be taught? And I'd be very interested to get Tracey's views on this because I think that's her bread and butter and she's doing it every day.
Yeah. No, I meant more a hard-nosed entrepreneur. Sorry, Katherine. I meant more a hard-nosed entrepreneur, somebody who says, I don't care for social impact. I'm saying more and more it looks like even they have to learn a bit about social impact and social responsibility. I'm asking if you can teach a hard-nosed entrepreneur to become a bit balanced and get the social and environmental aspect into their thinking and remain entrepreneurial.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that is our, sort of long-term wish and goal, right? That 30 years from now, we're not talking about social entrepreneurship as distinct, right, as any other business out there. I think a couple of the trends that we see that we're very excited about, in the Schwab Foundation network, we have about 320 organizations for the largest late-stage network of social entrepreneurs in the world. More and more of our awardees each year we're seeing actually previously had careers, in multinationals, in large corporations, and then, sort of transferred out at one point those skills. And actually, Tracey is a case in point of that trend as well, to really starting an organization with a social mission.
Yes.
On sort of opposite end of the spectrum, and the Schwab Foundation just last month issued a report called Social Innovation, a corporate guide to achieving corporate and social value. We detailed case studies from over 22 large companies, multinational companies, regional companies, where executives are not just looking at social impact through traditional philanthropy or CSR lens, but much more as a long-term competitive play. So it's early stages yet. We don't see as much of that as we would like, but we're really excited by what we are seeing and by how quickly the space is growing.
Right. Head of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship, Katherine Milligan, joining us from Switzerland. We also have one of the finalists, am I right, of the Social Entrepreneurship Awards that the Schwab Foundation hosts every year. We're talking the CEO and co-founder of the Clothing Bank, Tracey Chambers. Welcome to Power Hour, Tracey. The Clothing Bank. I couldn't believe when I went to your website and I saw boxes and boxes marked for disaster management, this and Bavian's Clove Community Feeding and St. Anne's Home. What do you do? Explain that to me like I'm a 6-year-old.
Okay, great. Thanks, Victor. Right, what we basically do is we provide a solution to most of the major retailers in South Africa who have what they would consider waste in their supply chain. And waste might be end-of-season merchandise, customer returns, something they've rejected from a supplier. And we work with most of the major clothing retailers and more and more with all retailers. So, for example, we work with Clicks and their returned appliances. Those retailers then donate all of their product to us. Just to give you a sense of size, we're getting about 100,000 products a month at this point delivered to our 6 branches. And then what we do is we use that product as a tool to teach unemployed mothers how to run small trading businesses.
Yes, I saw stories on your website, very touching stories, people who used to be waiters, some of them were unemployed and are now seriously walking tall kind of entrepreneurs. How many people go through your programs, the entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship training side?
Currently we have capacity for 800 women in our program per year.
Whoa.
Yeah, but thousands and thousands apply each year. So it's really hard to get into our program. Women go through an extensive recruitment process.
Yes.
But once they're in, they then get over 1,000 hours of training, development, and support. Because it sounds like a simple model where we have this fabulous product, and you're working with unemployed mothers, and of course we make an assumption that if you're unemployed and you're a mother, that you would grab this opportunity with both hands. But actually what the women in our program need is a lot of emotional support. They need a lot of personal development because they've been through so much trauma. They've lost hope. They're depressed.
Yeah.
Because they're really having to carry the burden of raising children and have no means to provide for them.
All right.
So it's really that part of our program which, in a sense, was a surprise to us that we needed. We thought we just needed to provide them with business skills. But actually, over the years, we realized that it's the business skills are the easy skills to teach.
Yeah.
It's the emotional development that really makes a difference between whether a woman is successful or not.
And understanding what drives them. Co-founder and CEO of the clothing bank, Tracey Chambers, joining me on the line, alongside Katherine Milligan, head of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship out of Switzerland. Katherine, you host this Entrepreneurs of the Year, the Schwab Foundation Social Entrepreneurs of the Year. And this year, 2016, you have 12 outstanding social entrepreneurs from 11 organizations in 70 countries that are pioneering solutions for social and environmental challenges. Is Tracey one of them?
Yes, yes, Tracey, and lovely to hear you and describe so eloquently your work. Yes, the clothing bank is absolutely one of the Schwab Foundation's 2016 winners.
Right.
And we have 2 winners from South Africa.
All right. Well, that's great to know. It's not amazing, of course, that you'll do this wonderful work. You were former First Lady of South Africa, Zanele Mbeki, on your foundation board. But what's even more impressive is Mohammed Yunus, Managing Director of the Bangladeshi Grameen Bank. One social entrepreneurship turned into a serious enterprise. I always mess up this man's surname, the Brazilian author. But Mohammed Yunus, obviously it shows that this social entrepreneurship goes far back and there's no limit as to how big it can grow once you got the formula right.
Yeah, so that's absolutely right. I mean, of course, he is widely known and respected as the grandfather of microfinance, and we do have some microfinance institutions in the Schwab Foundation network as well. But that really was the germ of the idea, right? I mean, although Grameen is now, globally celebrated and widely known, and so is he, rightly so, with having received many accolades. It took decades, right,
Yes.
for the world to actually become aware of what microfinance is and for that to spread and replicate internationally. So one of the, really, I guess, core premises and the philosophical underpinnings of the Schwab Foundation's initial creation back in 1998 was to vastly accelerate the amount of time that would take, right? That there are lots of other Mohammed Yunuses, lots of other social entrepreneurs working in obscurity in countries all over the world, solving problems in education and in health and in unemployment. And in sanitation.
Sure.
And, it's just so critical to be able to bring them together to this, not just to the World Economic Forum convenings like our annual meeting in Davos,
Yes.
where, of course, we do bring a delegation of social entrepreneurs every year, but to all of our events and activities throughout the year and offer them pro bono services and executive education programs to our academic partners so that we can really help amplify and accelerate the adoption of these kinds of models worldwide.
All right, Katherine Milligan, head of the Schwab Foundation for Social Entrepreneurship and co-founder of and CEO of the clothing bank, Tracey Chambers. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, there you go. Social entrepreneurship. Don't look away from that. It's the future, I can assure you that. It's 1831. Mpositol has the news headlines. After this, we talk township economy from Alex. I didn't know they had a foundation, Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as old as far back as 1969. It's amazing how little you know about your own neighborhood. It's 1831, Mpositol.
Power 98.7. Now we're talking.